Just reading an article on 70s horror films in this copy of Bluntzilla Video, the magazine from October 2017. Seems like not long ago, but I got two movies in question for this video, and they both come from writer-directors, and one of them is the directorial debut of one of the filmmakers, and it's pretty goddamn cool. And the two films in question are David Cronenberg's Shivers and Larry Cohen's It's Alive. So both these tapes came from the collection of the Old Man. Actually, excuse me, I just totally lied. This came from the collection of the Old Man. This came from Shockstock maybe a year or two ago. I think I paid five. It was either $5 or $10 for Shivers, but out of the two films, I think you have a good representation of the types of films that were coming out in the 70s. I mean, I think there's a decent gap in time between the two films, but Shivers is more of your like exploitation-y kind of sleazy route, where this is a more straight-laced, serious kind of horror film, like your Rosemary's Baby. Like this and Rosemary's Baby, like I think would be one of the best fucking double features that have ever been created. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I really loved the main actor. My uncle said he's seen him in a few other things. John Ryan. He plays this father of this abomination that's basically born, and the scene that I remember from when I was a kid was the scene in the hospital operating room, and all the people are cut to shit, and I just thought that was so fucking crazy and gross and terrifying. And that was basically it. And I remember seeing like the face like that. I definitely remember seeing the baby's face, especially from just looking on the shelf over the years and seeing it. Same with I've mentioned this before a long time ago, but the movie Alice Sweet Alice, there was an edition that my uncle had whenever I was a kid and I would stay at my grandparents' house. I would stay in my uncle's old room where he still had a lot of his shit stored, so all of his tapes, comics, all that kind of shit was, I'd go through it, and it was fucking always awesome, right? But there was a copy of Alice Sweet Alice, and it had the picture of like the mask with, going into like the baby doll thing. I shit you not, whenever I would sleep over, I would always move that, like flip that, and my uncle would be like, "What? Did you move that?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, it was fucking creepy." And these are like when I was like laying the foundation of myself being like a horror fan. So I was already known to a lot of film, like the franchisey kind of stuff, and I was slowly kind of, and I'd seen like Exorcist and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was like your Halloweens, your Jasons, your George Romero films, which I love. Those are definitely my favorite franchise series of films, if you want to call it that. Your Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and Day of the Dead. It's Alive. This kid gets born at a hospital and gets on the loose, and he's basically like a fucking savage beast that's on the loose, that's using the sewers to get around. And there's a crazy scene that takes place in the sewer, and the whole like character transformation that the father goes through is interesting to see, and just I really liked it. I really fell in love with just the way that this film looked and everything. I liked how they kept the kid at like the dad's friend or some shit like that, like the actual son that was just wanted to meet his new baby brother or sister, but sorry pal, your baby brother or sister's fucked. So I don't think it ever does tell if it's a boy or a girl. I don't know. Music by Bernard Herrmann, though, which is important to point out, because Bernard Herrmann did music for a film I just watched recently, which was Cape Fear. I believe he did the music for the original and the remake. Bernard Herrmann also did Psycho. I believe he did Psycho, which is, one of the most recognizable pieces of music of all time, whether you've seen the film or not. Like when you hear that like violin noise or whatever it is, shit's about to go down. So yeah, It's Alive, hell of a fucking flick. And it's directed by Larry Cohen and written by Larry Cohen, and that's going to segue into this film, which is written and directed by David Cronenberg. And this film is about basically like an STD, kind of thing, where it's like a parasite that leaches into your abdomen and turns you into a sex craving maniac, kind of. Not really a zombie. It's definitely Cronenberg, you know what I mean, in terms of like the grossness is here for sure. And you kind of have like a bit of a Demons 2 thing happening, where it's like a bunch of shit happening in an apartment building, and you have all the tenants experiencing kind of different stuff, but they're all kind of intertwined. This is the director's cut, so I guess there's stuff in here. And there's also I think the trailer at the end and an interview with Cronenberg. You definitely have with Cronenberg, like the films that I have seen that he's directed, they rule. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, this guy's a Canadian born filmmaker that never went to film school, and he made Shivers, he made Videodrome, fucking Rabid, The Fly, he made History of Violence, Scanner. Like, he did a shitload of films. The sad thing is he's made I think he's made over 30 films, and I've seen maybe 5 of his movies, but of those 5, I have not been disappointed. The next one I want to watch of his is The Brood, so potentially watch out for a later on director spotlight on Cronenberg, where I talk about all those films I mentioned. And I'll do this one again, of course, but my God, I just had so much fun with this. I had a lot of fun with this character, especially. He kind of looks like a guy I know, and I just love the way people talk and the way people dress in the 70s. I love it. I love it. I love the scene with the scummy old man that's hitting on all the broads in the doctor's office. You got a lot of people getting killed in this film. You got a lot of people getting fucking raped in this film. I think every video I've made in the last 5 videos, I've dropped the R word. I'm not proud of it, but when it's in films and it's put together nicely, I'm a sucker. So that's basically it for those 2 films. But, like I said, look out for a Cronenberg episode and possibly a Larry Cohen episode further on down the road, of course. But with that being said, I appreciate everybody watching the VHS collections, the director spotlights, all that stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you're down. I got a Facebook page and Instagram page. The links will be in the description of the video. And have yourselves a lovely afternoon, morning, or night. Adios. It's fucking slick.